Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Low Fider Act. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License Lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Sanderson looking in, zone for a pass. He's looking for King, intercepted. He's going to go down the right side. Lawrence down to the 20, 30, down to the 40. He might go all the way.
3rd down and 7. Good jump off the line by Strahan, who gets the sack. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
4-man rush. Eli throwing into traffic on the sideline. They're going to rule the catch by Manning.
Welcome to Jawing About the G-Men, a CMG Sports podcast. I'm Joe Aguirre along with King Zay, Sean Scanlon. He'll be along in just a couple of minutes. The New York Football Giants say they win their first game in Brian Daboll's debut, a 23-21 win over the New England Patriots. And almost as soon as the game was over, probably before the game was over, I'm on social media and everybody's hating on Daniel Jones. And listen, I don't know what people are hoping for. I don't know what people expect. Eli Manning threw about 4 good balls in his career. 2 of them are on the open of our show.
Oh, stop
so,
it. No more than 4. Stop it. That's just ridiculous.
I'm joking. Daniel Jones was 6 for 10 for 69 yards. Kenny Golladay obviously dropped what would have been a touchdown. We wanted the Giants' first-team offense out there. They went out there, they moved the football down the field, and they scored points. That's something, say, they didn't do very frequently last year. It's something people should be feeling optimistic about, and yet somehow a lot of Giants fans not feeling DJ after the first game.
I'm being real. He did about as good as you could do with what he was given. Obviously, he doesn't have his best weapon, Kadarius Toney, in my opinion, now his best weapon, based on what I've seen from Kenny Golladay. But I need people to pump the brakes here. If Kenny Golladay catches that first down, that's probably a touchdown drive maybe. Maybe Saquon punches it in the next drive, or maybe he throws a pass in. I think the Giants moved the ball pretty well, like you said, on first down. I don't know what people were expecting. You can only score 1 touchdown in a drive, so I don't know what people were really expecting from Daniel Jones, but I think he did well. He managed the pocket well. He missed on a couple of throws. Obviously, he's still got some things to figure out. He's learning a new offense. And again, a lot of the guys he's playing with are people he's never played with again. From offensive line to even receivers. He's only played, about 6 games with Golladay last year before injury? So, he doesn't even have much time in with the guys last year that were there. And again, we didn't see Sterling Shepard. We didn't see a lot of players get, play and get in. So there's still there's still areas to improve on offense, but I think overall they did pretty well for what they were going out there to do. Get one or
Sean,
two downs.
Daniel Jones is obviously under the gun here. As I just said to say, I don't know what people are looking for from this guy other than bringing the team down the field and scoring points. That's a step in the right direction for this team. They were only out there for 2 series. It's what we wanted to see. What'd you think of Daniel Jones? A lot of people said Tyrod Taylor looked a lot more comfortable back there. I believe that. I'm sure he
Almost threw
was.
2 receptions to second and third stringers.
He's very comfortable throwing interceptions. That's why Tyrod Taylor is the guy he is. Sean, love the stash. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, good to see you, fellas. Good to be back. But yeah, I mean, I agree with your assessment. I think that, it's important to score points. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of that from the Giants in the past couple seasons. So that first drive, obviously, you'd love to see it end in a touchdown. Like Zay said, if Kenny Galladay doesn't drop that pass, I think we easily could have scored a touchdown. But for the first time being in that offense, I think that Daniel Jones really did the best he could. There was constant pressure on him. For most of the plays, Evan Neal didn't look too great, but I mean, that's usually expected in his first NFL action. And then also, like Zay was saying, Kenny Galladay was really the only starting receiver out there. No Kadarius, no Wan'Dale Robinson, who was looking really good in training camp. And then obviously no Shep. So, and it's tough with Saquon coming back from injury, having to be at, full force. So, not really having that full offense there, being the first time that, he's been in that offense with all these new guys, whole new offensive line, basically, aside from Andrew Thomas. So with what he was working with, I really thought that people were kind of, blowing it out of the water that, he should be the backup behind Tyrod Taylor. Obviously, Tyrod's a veteran. So, and going against second and third string defense, obviously he's going to look pretty good. But yeah, I thought that Daniel Jones really did the best he could with what he was working with. So I think people were kind of blowing it out of proportion. I think it's definitely going to take some time with his offense, especially when you don't have your starters out there. So I think that he looked, pretty decent with, what he was working with. And I think it's only going to continue to improve once he gets to, be more comfortable with this offense going forward.
Let me ask you guys both this. I'll start with you. Who impressed you on this team? Maybe somebody you didn't necessarily expect anything from. Maybe someone like Antoine Williams ran for 61 yards and a score at a 19-yard run. Looked pretty good back there. Anybody out there where you're like, oh, I like this?
Actually, there was. I'm trying to remember his name. It was a wide receiver, I believe. Oh my God, Colin Johnson, I think that was his name. That kid was lighting it up. He was hitting them up every other play. I think he's definitely going to be a day one starter for the Giants on the roster. I think he will be out there starting. I think considering that they both were in a new offense and never played together, the fact that he and Daniel Jones were able to connect on so many passes, minus the one fumble he had, I think he played pretty well, and I think he will be a 100 people on a 53-man roster for the Giants. Possibly even a starter.
Colin Johnson, 7 catches, 82 yards. He was targeted 8 times, 7 catches. All in all, that's a guy who I think very, very much is in contention to make this roster at wide receiver. Sean, anybody out there doing it for you?
Yeah, I'm going to stick on the offensive side of the ball. I think that Gary Brightwell looked pretty good. Maybe backup running back. I know that we brought in Matt Breida during the offseason, but he's the second year back that we really didn't see much of last year, even when Saquon went down. More of a special teams guy, but he looked good carrying the ball, and also he had that nice one reception where he broke a tackle and made a nice gain out of it. So he's got the ability to catch out of the backfield. He looks pretty good between the tackles too. He's got a good burst. He's a fast dude. So I think that he looked pretty solid. He has a chance to, slot into that backup running back role behind Saquon. And then hopefully, knock on wood, cross the fingers. Hopefully Saquon doesn't go down, but knowing his injury history, it's important to have a good backup running back, especially I don't think he's going to be that bell cow type back where we give him 20, 25 touches a game, just knowing his injury history background. So to have a solid backup running back there will be important. And I think that, he proved that he could slot into that role and maybe give us some effective touches during the year. And then I know it says who impressed you, but who didn't impress me was Aaron Robinson. He's supposed to be our second corner. Especially that one drive, he was just getting burnt by Tyquan Thornton, a bunch of these second string receivers from the Patriots too. The Patriots don't even have a good receiving core to start, so these are all their backups. That one drive was just brutal. It was play after play. He was getting burnt, and then obviously it ends with him getting burnt in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So that's really my biggest concern with this team this year is the secondary. I think that Xavier McKinney is really the only proven commodity on that defense. Adoree Jackson obviously had some pretty good years in Tennessee, but didn't show us anything last year. And he's our cornerback one. Having our cornerback two being Aaron Robinson is pretty sketchy. So definitely need some improvement there. I don't know if bringing any free agent veterans that are still out there, but it's just that's the one thing that really worries me about this defense. I think the pass rush has definitely improved a lot. I think that's gotten a lot better, but this secondary could really be what kills this defense this year.
Well, I'm glad you said that. That sort of brings up this point or this question. What do you want to see more of in the preseason before we get to the actual season? Certainly the secondary. I think we all knew going in it was going to be an issue. It certainly played out exactly the way we feared that it might. And I think at this point, if you're the Giants, you're just hoping a cornerback gets cut before training camp, somebody that you could stick out there that's going to give you a better performance, which seems unlikely, but you never know. That said, Sean, what do you want to see more of? I want to see this starting offense take the football down the field a few times. And show me that they can move the football. Because to me, in 2022, most teams can move the football with relative ease. The teams that are the worst in the league, like the Giants and the Texans and the Jaguars, that's been the biggest thing. It's all the 3 and outs. It puts all that pressure on your defense. So that's something I'm desperately looking for. What else would you like to see from this team before you think they're ready to hit the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the pass rush. We didn't really see too much of it against the Patriots, but I do look forward to seeing that in the next couple of preseason games. Thibodeau was a little bit quiet in his first game, but I don't think that's going to continue. Apparently, he's looked really good in training camp. I mean, he's a freak of nature, so I think he's going to start to, find his footing and really get some good pass rush for this team. And then I think Ojulari coming into his second year will have a big year. Quincy Roche is a kind of name that kind of came up last year. He kind of broke out, but I think that he's going to continue to do that. And then having Leonard Williams on the inside, who didn't play Thursday, I think is going to be huge. So just trying to get this pass rush back to where it was in the great, Giants days. Obviously, all the great Giants teams that have won championships have all had great pass rushers. So it really starts with that in the defense. And I think this is probably one of the better pass rushes, at least on paper, that we've had in a couple of years ever since JPP and Olivier Vernon left. So just getting back to having a great pass rush will be important for this defense. And we didn't really see it too much in this first preseason game against the Patriots, but I do expect it to, build up more and more as we progress towards the regular season. But that's going to be huge, especially with the secondary that most likely is going to struggle. It'll be important to get pressure on the quarterback quick, just so the secondary doesn't have to be out on an island there the whole time. So I'm looking forward to this pass rush being a lot more improved this season.
How about you, Zay?
I want to see more Kayvon. I want to see more Kayvon. I need to see more Kayvon. I was a big critic before we had our pre-draft shows. Before I mentioned I didn't like the idea of Kayvon. I would love to have Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, he went way earlier than we could have got him. But again, you turn on the TV, then you look at the Lions game, and Aiden Hutchinson, first play from scrimmage, he's in the backfield. He's making a big play. That's what I'm expecting, from, a big name like Kayvon. I didn't get that. I felt like he got blocked, he got taken out of the game, and he was just out of it. He didn't do anything. I need to see more Kayvon. I need to see more of the first offense that played last game. I'm okay with, keeping Wandell and keeping Tony's other guys out, because as I look around the league, these injuries everywhere. The last thing the Giants need is a key piece like Wandell or Kadarius Toney tearing the ACL or popping something or a hamstring. I'm okay, shelving the weapons until season starts because I know those guys are ballers. They're going to get on the field. They're going to do what they do. They don't need months and weeks in training to do with that. They just do what they do because it's a God-given talent what they do. But I do need to see more connection and more, teamwork between Galladay, and Daniel Jones. Because again, these two, for what Galladay is getting paid, he has to be a better receiver for us. He's taking up too much payroll for him not to be as good when we need corners, as like Sean mentioned, badly. And you have this receiver who's taking up most of your payroll who doesn't catch touchdowns the whole season. So I need to see these two start to develop a connection or try to move Galladay if you can and bring in something that can help us because there's no point in having an expensive receiver who can't catch the ball for you. It's pointless.
Sean, I feel like you want to say something about that.
Yeah. I mean, Galladay, just if you look at that contract right now, it's got to be one of the worst in the league. I mean, he comes out, like Zay said, didn't score a touchdown all year last year, was injured for most of it. Him and Jones never really got that connection going. He had one solid game against the Saints. Other than that, he was pretty quiet all season. And then you come into this year thinking, all right, maybe he was just a little bit injured last year. Maybe he comes back around. And it's just the signs from training camp, at least from what I've heard, it's not like he's been doing anything outstanding. And then you go into this preseason game. He had that one route where they tried to hit him on a deep post, but he didn't even get off the line. Looks like he's not even trying out there. And then, he has that drop right in front of the end zone. So it's just more discouraging signs from a guy who we paid all this money to be our number one receiver. And he hasn't really shown any reason why he will be that number one receiver. And I think that he might be the third or fourth best receiver on this team right now, especially if Wan'Dale Robinson has a great rookie year. So it's tough, and especially for a team like the Giants that don't have a great receiving core to start with, when you're the third or fourth best receiver on that team and you're one of the highest paid receivers in the league. It's just not a good thing to see. It's a tough sight. So hopefully he starts to get it going. Hopefully him and DJ get that connection. But if they don't, if we could trade him, that'd be awesome. But I just don't know any team that would be willing to take on that contract right now, especially for what he's given you. So I think we're going to have to ride it out with him for at least this year. But hopefully he can improve because this is maybe one of the worst contracts in the league right now.
It shouldn't be. We already paid the best Giants receiver in Giants history. And then we gave him away. We shouldn't have gave him away. We should have already had him for the money. This is bro, the fact that we gave away Odell and have not found a replacement since is just – and then you give Sterling Shepard big money because you think he'll step up and then he does nothing but get hurt every year. And now you got this guy who just – Jesus, this franchise, I swear.
That's Dave Gettleman for you. Thanks, Dave.
And the best part is the Giants played Joe Judge last week. That was the best part. Joe Judge called the offense the other side.
Him and Matt Patricia looking like clowns calling the offensive plays for the Patriots. That was a funny sight.
What an unusual situation. I said, if these guys were to masterfully pull that off, they could change the way coaching is done in the NFL. But one game in, I'm going to say, no, that's not even – no one's doing that.
Belichick won't even talk about it. He won't even talk about it. It's embarrassing.
There will be no unit coaching bathrooms in the near-term future. We'll keep the offense with the offense, the defense with the defense, and we'll put a coordinator in charge of both of those units. I think that's going to be and stay the standard in the NFL, at least for the time being. Dude, I'll tell you, my philosophy is as simple as this. Joe Judge, especially, has such a bad reputation in this league coming off the Giants thing that I think for him, he just thought, if we don't say who's doing what, these guys won't get criticized. People won't question my sanity as Bill Belichick. Like, why would you want Joe Judge to call plays when you saw what happened last year with Daniel Jones in New York? I get it from that respect, but I thought when the game started, one guy would definitively be doing it. They knew, you heard it all week. Like, they know who's calling the plays. I don't know if they do. I don't know if that's true at all.
Joe Judge coached the Giants. He was a special teams coach, and we had one of the worst special teams in the league last year. Wow. How could he have thought he? I don't even understand how does that work. Do they have just Madden open and one picks a play and the other one picks? How does that work? How does that literally work? How does it work? One pick first down and third down, one pick second and fourth. How does that work?
They go drive to drive.
Say Bill turns over his shoulder. He's like, Joe Judge, what do you got here? Oh, quarterback sneak on third down, huh? Patricia, what do you got? Anyway, listen, I think if you're a Giants fan, the fact that this team walked away with a victory in its first game is something you should be thrilled about.
Smile.
This is what you wanted, right? Again, it's like you wanted the Giants to win 42-5? Like, what did they have to do to impress the Giant fans when, again, this is probably a 6, 7, 8 win team? I don't know. I would be enjoying every single one of these wins wherever and whenever I can get them. Backup, second team, third team. I don't care. I just want to see dubs. I want to get used to the dubs.
They should look. The division looks terrible too. I watched the Cowboys preseason game. I watched the Commanders and the Eagles. They don't look much better neither. This is like lost division, if I'm being real with you. I think it's wide open. I honestly do.
Well, this seems to be a division that people constantly miscall, and generally the team that everyone thinks is the favorite ends up bombing out somehow, which puts the 2 and 3 team in better position to make a run. I think most people think the Giants are the 4th best team in this division. I would say that immediately makes them the 3rd best just based on whoever everyone thinks the top team is. It's not going to pan out, usually doesn't. The Commanders last year, you look at all the injuries that they had. Who's to say you won't get a repeat of that? And suddenly you're talking about the Giants are right up there battling it out with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And I'll tell you, I've been listening to a lot of people this week. Jalen Hurts is turning a lot of heads. A lot of people kind of didn't think this guy had a real future in the NFL as a starting quarterback, but I'm hearing more and more people are very impressed with this guy.
Yeah, I'm still not sold.
Good.
But
good. I can count on any 2 people to not agree with the Jalen Hurts getting good thing, it's you guys, and I appreciate that.
I'll say I hate the Eagles, but just on top of that, bias aside, I just don't like even bringing in AJ Brown. I think that's obviously huge for them. I think he's like a top 10 receiver in my eyes, but I just still think they're still a run-heavy team, especially with the way Jalen Hurts plays, his style of play. Miles Sanders is going to get the ball a lot. And then they're going to have to divvy up targets between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And I just don't think Jalen Hurts is that great at throwing the ball. I think he's obviously a run-first quarterback who can throw the ball in certain situations, but it's not like he has a deep ball. It's mostly like shorter and intermediate routes, which is what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't. I mean, A.J. Brown's more of a deep ball guy. So I just don't see how it really works out in that offense. And I keep seeing everyone saying the Eagles are going to be a sleeper team, like in the NFC. I keep in the top 10 power rankings. I always see the Eagles in the top 10, and I just don't really get why or how. I just think they're being way too overhyped, and I think that they're not going to be that great of a team this year.
No, I completely agree with you on that one, Sean. I think the Eagles are terrible. Absolutely. I mean, I hate to be mean, but I do. And I will say this about the Giants. I think the Giants will go 3-5 before they actually start to play some real football. I think they'll go 3-5 before they start to understand that offense, and we'll start seeing Danny Dimes.
If they're 3-5 after 8 games, I will be ecstatic. I would be so good with a 3-5 start.
I'm not going to tell you they're going to be 3 dominant wins, but I think it'll be 3-5 before they really start to understand who they are as a team. And if they're really buying into this coach, I really think they'll get to that point. And that's why I think the division still has a chance for them. Because I think at 3-5, that puts them somewhere probably tied for 3rd place by 8 weeks. If I'm being real, by 8 weeks in, they're probably tied for 3rd place in the NFC East.
Probably second. The way the NFC East is.
Yeah, no kidding. Not to mention, listen, I don't care if all 3 of those wins are by a singular point. I'm not. Listen, I'm not looking for the Giants to start blowing teams out. No, I just want to see them come on the right side of these close games, which has been the last 6 seasons now. when it comes to close games, I'll look this up for next week. I would venture the guess that in games decided by 3 points or less, the Giants probably have the worst record in football the last 6 seasons.
Well, that's because they're 3-0 every drive. But if you look at the first drive, they march down the field. This is why you have to have confidence. Normally it's 3-and-out, get off the field, and then you know how it goes. The defense is back out there. But the Giants put together a drive on the Dable. That's why I felt confident. They did not do that in Joe Judge's whole tenure.
Yeah. Especially in light of the fact that we heard all week that Jones was erratic with his throws, that he wasn't making throws in practice to come out.
Erratic at the end.
But fine, but again, to come down the field and to actually turn that into points regardless, couldn't have been that bad is all I'm saying.
Those were the points they were missing before. And this is what I'm saying. There were too many first quarters the Giants had, first halves where everything was a 3-and-out. They never got into the red zone. The fact that they drove the ball shows you that Dable is going to put this team in different positions. They're running screens to receive. That screen to Slayton looked amazing. If Neal, that's a big boy to run behind. If he really got ahead and start blocking, he could really clear the way. And if they start mixing that up and get the timing down, I'm telling you that it's going to be that week 8 when everything starts to click. The timing, everyone starts to know how to play together. It's going to be that you got to give it time. People just want everything to work instantly. It don't work like that. This isn't the New York Mets. You just got to give things time.
I'll give you a shot at the Mets real quick, Sean, and then we'll take our break.
Yeah, of course. As long as it's not the Red Sox. I know they suck. You don't have to talk about that.
All right, still to come, we've got our GOATed series. We're talking the GOAT of superheroes. I wish Jace was here for this because that was his idea. Coming up next, though, we're gonna go around the league. I know everyone's got their fantasy drafts coming up. We're looking for one guy you gotta have and one guy you want to avoid. That's next on John About the G.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All right, before every game during the season, we always do our fantasy preview, and we always give our sleeper pick, right? We give you here's the guy you got to have on your team this week. That was a lot of fun last year. We the three of us did a really good job with that. Jace was a little iffy with all of his picks. So that said, here's what we're doing. I want to have from both of you, give me your one must and your one bust. Give me the one guy everybody should be your first round pick. If you got it, you can get him. That's your guy. And then tell me the one guy that they all should stay away from. Although since we're all in fantasy league together, I feel like you guys are not really going to want to share that here, but let's see what we got. Zay, we'll start with you. Who's your must-have fantasy guy?
My one must is, and I had him last year. I don't know why anybody didn't grab him. It's Jamar Chase. The man is probably right now a top 5 receiver in the league. I don't want to put him as the best because the best is heavy up there. But he knows how to get it done. He has probably the best pairing for a quarterback that you can have if you're a receiver. You know, to me, he is the must-have. He literally wielded my last place team in any win I had last year. Thanks. That's what happened. Get last pick. But make sure you grab a guy like Jamar Chase. Have to have him. Absolutely have to have him. He changes teams instantly. I have 40-point games, all types of points. Must have.
I love it. Sean, who's your one must?
I'm going with his LSU teammate, the other receiver, Justin Jefferson. I know that this kind of SpongeBob square pick, as Jace would say, but I mean, I think he has argument for being the best receiver in the league. His first 2 years in the league, he has the most receiving yards by any receiver in history. Him and Kirk Cousins have a great connection, and I think that obviously I try to go running backs in the first couple of rounds just because there's not a lot of them. You get more volume with receivers, but the numbers that he's been putting up his first 2 seasons have been out of this world, and I don't see any reason that's going to stop in his third season. I think he's only going to continue to get better. So I think that he's a must-have. If he's there in the top 4, I might even think about taking him. Obviously, you want to take your running backs early, but I just think that he's super dynamic. He can do it out of the slot. He can do it outside. Great route runner, great hands. He's really got it all. So I think that if he's there in that top 5, definitely think about taking him. And he honestly might be the first receiver taken off the board in a lot of leagues. And I don't blame anyone for doing that because I think that he is going to have another great year. So one must, if Justin Jefferson's on the board for me, I'm going ahead taking Jay Jettas because I think that he's a beast. And I think that, by the end of this year, he might be the best receiver in all of football.
Yeah, my one must is the best running back in the league. He doesn't play for the Colts. He plays for the Titans. His name is the Big D Train. Derrick Henry, to me, is still the best football player in the NFL. I don't think anybody week to week has a bigger impact. That guy missed half the season and still finished better than all of your running backs did. And that's a frightening thought.
We know what he.
Oh, I don't mean you specifically. I mean anybody who hears or watches this. He was better than your running back, and he played half the games. That's how good he is. A healthy D train. I don't think there's a better available guy in the NFL. You could find receivers, quarterbacks go late. You could always draft Kirk Cousins. You'll be fine. If you don't get Derrick Henry, you're not going to win your league. That's the way I view this. All right. Let's talk about your one bust. Do everybody a favor, maybe even especially early in the draft. Who is a guy everybody needs to avoid? Sean, I'll start with you on this one.
I'm going to go with the receiver again on this one. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. I think that he'll have another solid year. I just don't think he's going to replicate what he did last year, though. Obviously, he had the contract talks, and he was frustrated with the 49ers front office during this offseason. They finally got an extension done, but he obviously doesn't want to be used as a running back or carrying the ball as much. And I think that the Niners are still going to try and do that. So I think there's going to be friction between him and the offensive coordinator still. And then just the transition from Jimmy G to Trey Lance. Obviously, I think Jimmy G is Mr. Average. I don't think he's anything better than that, but I do think that he is a better passer of the football than Trey Lance. Maybe Trey Lance will prove me wrong. We haven't seen a lot of him, but I think it's going to be a tough transition going from Jimmy G, a solid quarterback in this league, to Trey Lance, who's going to be a first-time starter. And I just think the fact that he doesn't want to be used as a running back anymore, which is really where his best value comes from, especially last year when he got all those rushing touchdowns, racked up a lot of rushing yards too. I just think it's going to be a fall-off year for Deebo Samuel. I think he's still going to be a solid receiver. Don't get me wrong, but where his average draft position is right now, I would stay away from that. I would definitely try and draft him later in rounds. I don't think he's technically going to be a bust, but where he's going to be drafted in most leagues, I just don't see the value there. So I think that he should be drafted a little bit later just because there's a lot of question marks with that 49ers offense. And I think that he's going to fall off a little bit from where he was last year.
I like that. That's a good one. And I agree with you on all of that. Zay, who's your bust? Who's the guy they got to stay away from?
This guy you got to stay away from. And I hate to do this to him. It's Christian McCaffrey. Stay the hell away from CMC. No matter what you do. I know people who took him with the first pick last year and got nothing in return for it. It's the worst trick.
I did that.
He's never healthy. He can't stay healthy. The quarterback situation over there is a joke. And if they have to rely on the run game, well, we know, again, he's not reliable. So absolutely stay away from Christian McCaffrey. Please do it. Please. And if you pick him, it's your own fault. I'm telling you now.
I'm going to throw a name out there without elaborating too much. I don't think I need to, but I think Saquon Barkley is very much on the bust list. I don't think that's a guy you want to take an early pick on. It's not to say Saquon isn't going to have a healthy breakout kind of season, but he's probably not the first running back you want to be drafting in this draft. And if you're picking in the first or second round and you're thinking about Saquon, do yourself a favor. Hold off. There's better picks. The guy who I really am most concerned about, and this could blow up my face, and he can end up having an all-pro season, but Tyreek Hill. I think, sort of like what you're saying with Debo, I think the expectation for what Tyreek Hill does every single season, you're like, yeah, I'll take the 100 catches, the 1,500 yards, the 10 touchdowns or whatever. I think he's going to find having Tua Tagovailoa as his quarterback. I just think if you're looking to pick him 1 or 2 or 3 overall in your draft, I would reconsider Tyreek Hill. No offense to Tyreek Hill or to his skill set. He's a great football player. My concern is, how good is Tua going to be at getting the football to that guy, knowing he's already got a favorite target and a guy he's known for years in Jalen Waddle? So my concern is what does this mean for Tyreek Hill? Is Tyreek Hill going to have a monster season? I don't think as monster as he's used to. So again, if you're looking to go super early on Tyreek Hill, I might consider a Devontae Adams over Tyreek Hill right now. That's what I would do.
No.
You would take Tyreek over Devontae Adams?
I think Tyreek Hill's gonna eat up the short to intermediate routes. I honestly do. I think he's gonna eat that up. Being a second option, I think he's gonna destroy against linebackers and inside corners. I think they're planning for it purposely. I think they continue to use Chase as their big weapon, and I said Chase, Waddle as their big weapon, and then you use Tyreek Hill in your short to intermediate, your trick plays. I think you find a way to get him the ball in other ways than just the deep ball, because again, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to, flick it and throw it 80 yards and throw it behind the back and, through his legs or whatever. He's not going to do that.
Tyreek Hill has been talking all through training camp, pretty much since that trade. Like, he doesn't see any kind of difference between Mahomes and Tua. That's what he said. Those are his words. Targets. His words, not mine. His words, not mine.
I've seen him
his words. His words, not mine. I'm just saying. I have a lot of friends who are Dolphins fans. No one's really feeling Tua. I'm just saying, I think there could be a drop-off. The balls would be coming in with the reverse spin on them, by the way, and not quite as tight and not quite as good. I'm just saying, it could be. I don't know what Tyreek Hill's numbers looked like last year. I don't know how many catches he had, but I'm saying I don't think he's going to top catches, yards, or touchdowns over last season. So if you had Tyreek Hill and you're like, I'm going to pencil him in for those numbers, I'm just saying I think you're looking at those numbers being maybe just a little bit less or way less, depending. But I wouldn't expect a better season from Tyreek Hill with Tua on the. I just don't see it.
Again, you can get him the ball other ways. It doesn't got to always be the deep ball. It don't always have to be. There are other ways to get Tyreek Hill the ball, whether it's handoff, start him off in the backfield, end arounds, direct snaps. There are other ways to get this man the ball where he will be effective on that offense. Don't write him out yet.
Listen, like I said, I might be wrong. But again, it's that this is no slight on Tyreek Hill. This isn't to say that Tyreek Hill's not a great ball player. It's just that I'm saying that's a pretty big drop off in terms of quality. I don't know if this is true or not. This being reported. Kadarius Toney going to miss practice this whole week due to a leg injury. Yeah, the Giants got to get that. They got to get that straightened out. It's funny. If you are following the New York Yankees, and I know you two are huge fans, until the Giants injury bug hit just before the All-Star break, this team was off to a record start. They were looking like one of the best teams in history. There's been a ton of injuries. The bullpen's depleted. Giancarlo Stanton's been out now for a few weeks, and the team has played awful baseball as a result of that. So I'm not upset about it. They're still going to win the World Series, you jerk. All right. We're just about to wrap things up. We'll take a quick break, run your promo for one of our other really super cool shows that's about to restart, and then we're going to talk about the GOAT of superheroes next on John About the G-Man.
Hi everyone, I'm Owen Muniz, host of the All Four Downs podcast. Football season is near and we have the podcast for you. Subscribe and follow the YouTube channel for insights on picks, sports betting, on all NFL, college football, and the upcoming XFL games. It's All Four Downs. Presented by Clovercrest Media.
Look forward to that show coming back. Zay was asking why he's never been asked to be on it. I told him he needs to take that up with OV, Sean. I don't know what else to tell him.
I said you need a Notre Dame guy up there. You need
we do.
The best team in college football, you need that perspective.
Isn't Hector a Notre Dame guy?
You know what? I think he is. I think he is.
It's always good to have some different opinions on there.
We already have a Notre Dame guy that talks out of his ass. I guess we don't need a second one. Oh,
that's usually how Notre Dame fans go.
Yeah, that's all of them. All right. So unfortunately, Jace Garcia not with us this week because he came up with this. The question as part of the GOATed series is, who is the GOAT of superheroes? He says it can be from any media, TV, movie, comic book. Who is the GOAT when it comes to superheroes? Now, I don't know much about superheroes. This is my kryptonite when it comes to pop culture. I'm not a big superhero fan.
Sounds like you do know about superheroes.
Couldn't tell. You look like the superhero guy. You look like the dreamer.
Do I listen. I watched Superman 1 when I was a kid. Okay? And I watched the Batman movie in 89 with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. And I never went back. I've never gone back to a superhero movie. I just don't see why. I don't see the reason. I get it. They're going to beat up the bad guy, save the world. It's been written. It's long ago been written.
Not always. It doesn't always.
You're talking nerd to me now. Just save it. You're going to tell me something, Thanos, Bob. None of that matters to me.
Someone who doesn't watch the movies would know exactly what I'm talking about, though, right? You watch the movies. It's okay. We all
have never.
It's all right, Joe.
Never watched a single Marvel movie.
That's a lie.
I swear to God. Why would I lie about that?
USA, TBS, every weekend on each channel, back to back, all night long. You've had to see at least
movies.
He's busy watching the Yankees losing.
I mostly am watching the Yankees lose.
There's no way he's doing that. There's no way.
All right. Anyway, here's what I do know about superheroes. The greatest superhero of all time, statistically speaking, has got to be Superman. It's got to be Superman. No, I didn't see any of the Spider-Man movies. I almost saw the Tobey Maguire one with the redhead, but I just didn't end up doing it. But Superman is everything the guy does. Other than kryptonite, he's like a step down from a god. He's like unbeatable. Yeah. So I don't know. Who do you guys think is I would also be more prone to say somebody like Mighty Mouse, who I think is an underrated superhero character not enough people give respect to. Sean, you seem like you are confused, so I'm going to start with you.
Who's Mighty Mouse?
You don't know who Mighty Mouse is?
I probably do. I don't know.
He's a cartoon superhero. He was amazing.
Oh.
Part of the Woody Woodpecker series.
Oh yeah, I'm quite familiar with that. I'm not too familiar with Mighty Mouse, but I don't know. This is a tough one for me too. I'm not like a huge. Oh, that's okay. Now I know who Mighty Mouse is. Punisher is a superhero. If I knew who Punisher was, man.
I do know who Punisher is. He's the guy with the guns. I know that because he's in a Fat Joe song. They rap about him.
Segment. There's no point in doing this segment. There's absolutely no point in doing this segment. I can't do this no more.
I don't.
Zay, I don't watch. I mean, I'm not stupid. It's like I've heard of what superheroes are. I just don't watch the stupid movies. And yes, Punisher to me would count.
What are you
I
watching?
actually like that pick.
There's literally nothing else on TV nowadays. What are you watching?
I watch documentaries. I like to learn. I like to be smarter. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Give me the goated documentary. Let's do that. Let's make it easier. Give me the goated documentary.
I just watched an amazing documentary the other night. They're repopulating an animal reserve in Tanzania with a pride of lions. It was 3 lionesses and 5 cubs, and one of them got their head caught in a snare, and then there was a real dilemma. Normally, the photographers don't get involved when a lion's injured by another lion or by a hyena, but in this case, done by humans, they decided to tranquilize the tiger and repair the terrible bruise on her head so that they could keep the pride intact and keep the project going. 3 months after they finished filming, somebody in the local village poisoned all 8 of the lions. They're all dead.
This is what you're watching instead of superhero.
That's what I watched the other night. It was on National Geographic Channel. Yes.
Instead of superhero movies, this is what you're watching.
It's real. And really, that's what really happens. That's the real world. I'm into that. I don't need superheroes. Again, listen, here's the problem with superhero movies. They're so dumb because clearly in the end, Batman's going to kick the Joker's ass. Got it. I don't need 17 versions of that. I already saw Keaton do it to Nicholson. They were great at it. Didn't need to be redone. Didn't need to be redone.
The Dark Knight's one of the best movies of all time.
I've heard that. I've seen Heath Ledger in other movies. Not that.
The fact that you think there's only one story, that everything just repeats the one story, the point was, oh my God.
Yeah, they take their liberties. That's why. They take their liberties. Too much of that. Just tell me the story as I understand it. It only needs to be told once. I don't need 9 different people to play Spider-Man. I don't. You hang upside down, you shoot webs. I need to see what? An English actor do it next? I don't. Stupid.
You're right.
Go back to animation. Color those things. That's even cooler. Who's your GOAT? Who's your GOAT of superheroes? Just pick one.
I don't even have a GOAT.
Jay should have been here. This is ridiculous.
You guys have made me hate superheroes. you guys have made me hate TV in general. Maybe TV in general.
Do you have any superheroes that you like?
Yeah, I like Batman. He's a cool guy.
Batman it is. Batman wins. There you go.
Look at that. No, I like the Dark Knight because it's like more realistic, like real life stuff. At least that's what they make it seem like, other than like saving the world against a crazy.
How does the Joker become a clown in that version?
You don't really get the backstory in that. But.
Right. The things that are important, they don't spend any time on in these stupid movies. That's the problem. That's why I don't enjoy them.
All right,
anything else you'd like to criticize about me, Zay, before we wrap things up?
Nah, I'm pretty sure there's a pack of lions. You need to go see some elephants or something. I don't know.
You know what the problem is? I'm at the point where I've watched, I kid you not, Hulk is pretty cool. I actually used to watch that TV show with Lou Ferrigno back in the day. I forgot about that. I would almost say the Hulk now that
we're not doing this. Jesus, just move on.
I have watched every single lion documentary there is on the internet. I'm running out of stuff to watch.
Big lion guy, huh?
Yeah, I love lions.
Are you getting just in theme for Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell? That's the big reason behind that.
Maybe I'm transitioning. You never know. You never know. Anyway, we're gonna say it's Batman is the greatest superhero of all time.
Yeah, we're gonna need to hear this from Jace next week because he's the one that set this all up, and now it's all.
I like Batman for 2 reasons. He's got a servant that creates amazing things for him, and then he's got a boy, a ward, some young kid that he watches over.
You think? Oh my!
You're telling me Alfred doesn't create all that bat stuff in the bat cave? Who's doing it?
Alfred's a
Lucius Fox.
I don't know what that is. There's a Fox?
Morgan Freeman. See, there's some good actors in The Dark Knight too. You're missing.
I do like Morgan Freeman.
He watches animal documentaries. He'd rather watch lions get screwed on Pride Rock than watching a superhero movie.
He's too worried about Tanzania.
He knows the ending. He's so smart. He knows the ending. So
I'll tell you this. If you watch The Lion King with me, you'll hate it because I'll pick that movie apart for all its inaccuracies.
Come on, The Lion King's a classic.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of stuff wrong about lions, though, but we'll get into that another episode.
That's for another time.
All right, Giants next Sunday, the 21st, they will be hosting the Carolina Panthers. We'll be back next week. We'll preview that game. What's the matter?
It'll be who?
Carolina. Giants playing Carolina Sunday the 21st. It's on the NFL schedule.
No, they play the Bengals.
This is Carolina, but you're right, because it also says the Patriots are playing Carolina. That's a mistake. So they meant Cincinnati. They did not mean Carolina. All right, so Giants-Bengals, that's next Sunday night, 7 o'clock on the NFL Network. We'll preview the game Sunday morning, and I'm very much looking forward to that. For Sean Scanlon and Kings A, I'm Joe Aguirre. We'll be back next week with more John About the G-Men.
Sanderson looking in, zone for a pass. He's looking for King, intercepted. He's going to go down the right side. Lawrence down to the 20, 30, down to the 40. He might go all the way.
3rd down and 7. Good jump off the line by Strahan, who gets the sack. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
4-man rush. Eli throwing into traffic on the sideline. They're going to rule it a catch by Manning.